Taped reading with Cece on June 12th, 2012. Thank you very much for letting me tape this, Cece. I so much appreciate it. Cece has chosen to not be on camera, and if I had that choice, I'd probably make it too. So, did you have anything particular you wanted to look at?
Yeah.
What's that?
I would really like to have a nice relationship.
Okay, so you're
loving, kind, spiritual, fun,
fulfilling
relationship.
Okay.
What do you see in my future in regards to that?
The deck I'm using today, it's done by Marchetti. It's a very rich, detailed deck with its decorations on it. I love it because it gives me lots of messages. You have wanted a relationship for a while, haven't you?
Yes.
A serious one. One where you felt you've had... First card I get for you is the Five of Cups. And this tells me you've had some difficult issues with relationships in the past. Maybe choosing the wrong person, maybe giving your heart in the wrong way. And this shows that you've kind of learned how to guard your heart and hold it a little separate, and maybe even keep that out of becoming involved initially when you meet people because of your past experience. It talks about kind of closing in on yourself and hiding a little bit from the world. Now the next card we get is the Ten of Swords. Now the Ten of Swords tells me you've gone through a pretty serious internal battle in not too long a time frame in the past. You really had to look at yourself, who you were, where you're going, what you're doing, what you wanted, how you wanted it. And because of the decisions that you found out doing that deep going inside, you had to leave some things behind. You had to move forward from some things, and you had to change a lot of things because you found that who you were and what you were doing were kind of way right apart. And it was a struggle in some cases to pull those back in to realign yourself. That struggle is something that you've completed. That was almost like your last task before love finds you. I get to tell you really happy news. Cece, I've got great news here for you because the rest of the rest of the spread is awesome. This shows your past. The first two cards are the past, and I like that the pain and the hurt and the work is in the past. That's always a good thing to be able to tell people. But what I really like are these next three cards, which are the King of Coins, the Four of Wands, and the Emperor. Now, you were very specific. You wanted someone kind, loving, compassionate, someone that you met on a spiritual level, on a mental level, and I love these cards for giving you exactly that. The King of Coins tells me that the man that comes into your life is actually going to be a person who is financially, better than financially stable. Now, I'm not saying he's a Rockefeller and dripping with diamonds off of every finger, but he is a man who, in this economy, it's nice to know that he's stable and paying his own bills and making his own way. That's a big thing in today's world, it seems like. But he is. He is a solid man. He feels like he is someone who has been in this area for a long time. Someone who has been here for quite some time. I have to tell you, he feels like he's a widow. I think his wife passed several years ago. I don't think he's been dating or engaging in that world because he wanted to get the family up and gone and take care of that responsibility before he moved into taking care of himself again. And part of how he's gotten through what he's had to do, I think he's got 2 kids, possibly a third that was older when mom died. But he had 2 in teen years pretty much that he really had to focus and be with. And now that they're gone, college level, doing their thing, he's able to look to himself again. And that's what the King of Coins represents. I love the Four of Wands here. The Four of Wands talks about gain, advancement. It talks about connection. If you look, all 4 of the wands are connected by light to a point, and it almost looks like it creates almost like a bower here. And that's the feeling the card should convey, is that with the Four of Wands, it talks about home, hearth, and family. It talks about having a support group. It talks about a stable situation. And with the home, hearth, and family and the stable situation, that's where you get your spiritual side. And someone who, let me see here. You're looking for someone who would rather, no, I'm not saying this right. You're looking for someone who has the feelings deep and really means it and really feels it, not somebody who just says it, number one. And number two, for you, that's part of the connection. Being able to share that spiritual feeling that he does. I don't get the sense for you that he has to believe the same way you do. He just has to be committed and dedicated to the spiritual path that he's on for himself. And you need to be able to see that in him. This tells me you will. And this also tells me that actually you two are going to be very close in your belief system. A lot closer than you expect because you're kind of a solo. And eclectic and kind of, a lot of us are that way now. We've looked at religion and found that there are parts of it that are very, very good and fit us very, very well. But there's other parts of it that you just kind of go, why does God need a starship? You know, it's like, that doesn't work for me. And so you've kind of done what a lot of us have done, and that is look at a bunch of different religions and belief systems and into the New Age and the spiritual and find what connected and what really locked in here. And I think that those people have a much closer connection to their beliefs and how they feel, and they live it much closer because it's something they defined for themselves and something they figured out for themselves. Now he will have, and the reason why I'm going through all this is because he's done that. Coming to you as the King of Coins, he's gone through that same process. His was instigated by the loss of his wife. And he really did go on a spiritual journey because he felt he had to find something to hold on to so he could take care of the kids. That's where all that comes from. So there is a very spiritual connection there. And the thing I love here, the future general direction is the Emperor. Now the Emperor is one of the more positive cards when it comes to looking for a mate in the tarot deck. Because the Emperor talks about him. It tells us not only is he stable and solid, but he is looking for somebody to build the rest of his life with. The thing about the Emperor is they have what they have because they built it and made it for themselves. The Emperor wasn't born into his position. He made the position for himself. And that talks about dedication, perseverance, and all those nice stick-to-it qualities we like to have. Now you want to know about the love part of this, right? Because I've told you about everything else. But
when is this going to happen?
That counts. We go back to the cards. This I wanted to look at to see where you were, where he was, and what the future general direction is. Now we'll look and see about, oh wow, awesome. Very nice. Ha! Oh, this is great. Okay, the Ace of Wands. This tells me that he comes into your life, and he comes into your life soon. First part of August. Really feels like you meet him the first part of August. When you first meet him, he's going to be in his work clothes, scuzzy, cruddy, but there'll be something about him that connects with you. When you see him, you won't see the cruddy work clothes. You see this. Not even his lips. You kind of, when you look into his eyes and see him, because you look at people two ways. You look over them, and then there are those that you really connect with, and when you look at them right in the eyes, you have a very good way. That's your way of being able to see who they are. That's your way of, quote unquote, seeing into their soul. And when you look into this man's eyes, everything else fades away. Because you find a mutual soul. You find, I hate using the word because it's so overdone, you do find a soulmate. You do find someone that you connect at that very deep, intimate, deep soulmate level, that soul level connection, and then build upon that. I love the fact that he's the King of Cups. The King of Cups is the King of Love. The cups relate directly to love in the tarot decks. The King of Cups is the King of Love. He is the man, he's experienced at love. He's experienced man because he is the king. He's not a kid. He's got some experience behind him, some life experience. He knows how to treat people right, that kind of thing. But the nice thing about the King of Cups is he is the King of Romance. He is the King of Love. That's good. And you know, I great cards. But he is. The King of Cups is the man who brings love. He is the man that brings romance. He is the man that understands what a woman needs. And what I like is you have two kings representing him. You have him as a king in the financial and money and material matters. And you also have him a king in the love and relationship aspect. So in two of the prime aspects that we really look at when we're looking at people to consider them for a future, you get kings. And that's kind of what you're looking for, is, you know, somebody who has been around the block a little bit and knows what's going on, but also someone who knows how to pay his bills, someone who knows how to step up to the plate with responsibility, and somebody who's going to be a helpmate and a partner to you, because for you, that's part of the whole package. It's not just, oh, let's get married now, have a big ring. That's not where you're going. You'd rather have no ring and a good spiritual connection. I mean, that's where you are. And what I'm seeing here, I have to admit, I think you are introduced to him by someone that you know. And it's a very innocuous meeting. It's not a setup, it's not a date thing, it's like you're out, it feels like you're out at a festival or an event or something, because it does feel like it's outside. It does feel like, like I said, he's just come from work or a ratty-tatty doing something. And he's not looking his best when you meet him. But when you see his eyes, and I believe his eyes are that gray-green that kind of switches back and forth between, you're not quite sure if it's gray-blue or gray-green, and they're beautiful, but they shift. And you'll be able to read him and his emotions just by looking at his eyes without even knowing it. Because you'll see it, and that connection is there.
Short,
Well, getting there next. Getting there next. Let's do one more for that. Oh, awesome! Awesome, awesome, awesome. Here we get the Seven of Wands, and that actually tells me a lot physically, although you see a guy shrouded there in the hallway. He is, I would say, 5'11", 6 foot. He's fairly tall. He's not, if he's like 5'11" and 3/4, he's that like 1/4 less than 6 foot, and that has been an issue with him his entire life. You know, it's one of those little things, but he's just a smidge less than 6 foot tall. I see him having, he feels like he's got northern heritage, Scandinavian, that type of heritage. I do see him as being blonde. I do see him as being fairly stocky built. He's not a slender guy. I would not call him heavy. He keeps his weight under control, but he's a burly guy. He's got shoulders and big hands, and you know, he's a big guy. But I think that most of his work is done with his brain. And it feels like he either owns or is a partner in like a construction company or a development company. And they're one of the few that have been doing well. A lot of it is, though, I do believe he's got, oh, okay. When his wife passed, he invested rather than blow it. And that's what's given him the financial base. Okay. I was wondering where the soul, so I had to look for myself, sorry. But like I said, about almost 6 foot, but not quite. Blonde hair, those gray to green eyes that shift with the light and his mood. And it's actually more his mood than the light that changes his eyes. His face is more, I want to say it's more rounded. And he's got a heavy neck. He has a, you know, he's not like that. He's got a neck, but it's a heavy neck. And I think he played football in college. He is a college graduate. And I'm still not sure. I almost want to say engineer or architect for the degree, because it's a lot of numbers, a lot of sketches. I'm seeing blueprints and that kind of stuff. So I want to say he's probably an engineer or an architect. I want to say more the engineer part because of the construction issue I'm getting with it. Architects plan them, but they don't usually spend a lot of time on site. And he spends a lot of time on site. He's a very hands-on kind of manager. His kids are grown and gone. They are, I thought it was, okay, his kids have graduated college. He waited till they were out of college. Wow, how awesome. That makes it very nice. He waited till the kids were out of college. That's cool.